Hooray for Hollywood! Hello there, Stan the Movie Man with your WIMZ.com movie review. This week I saw both new releases, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, based on a 1960s cartoon, and also 300 Rise of an Empire. Let's start with 300. It is, of course, a sequel to 300, about the battle between the Persians and the Greeks. This continues both just before and just after the events in 300. And it follows the leader of Greece as he tries to rally the various city-states to give him troops and ships to fight against the Persians, who are led by Xerxes, referring to himself as a god king. But he's having a hard time getting a lot of agreement. The Persian army is led by a Greek woman, Artemisia, played by Eva Green. She started life as a Greek child, but her village was ransacked and her parents were killed in front of her by Greeks, and she was then forced into a life of slavery, which included various and numerous times that she was raped. She was thrown out and left for dead, and always swore vengeance against the Greeks. She found her way to the Persian military and showed with her anger and with her ability that she could lead the troops of Persia. She is leading the Persian navy against Greece. If you saw 300, you've seen this movie. It is a lot of the same. There's the hyper-violence with the arms and legs and heads being chopped off left and right, and massive amounts of blood splattering everywhere, and an enormous number of very visible abs. Although I have to say, the abs in this movie are not as good as the abs in the original, if that's important to you. The story also isn't quite as interesting. Based on the initial description in the trailers, I thought maybe Xerxes would be more featured and we'd get to know more about him, and we do learn more about him, but he's hardly in the movie at all. We also get peeks at some folks from the first film, and Gerard Butler is shown, although he didn't film anything for this movie. They just used clips from the previous film. I don't think the story's as good, and it kind of becomes repetitive and dull. The action scenes are fine. A lot of it takes place on the ocean. It's a perfectly acceptable action movie. It's just not a great action movie. I really liked 300. I'm not as much in love with 300 Rise of an Empire. I'm giving it 3 guitars. Now, to Mr. Peabody and Sherman, based on a 1960s cartoon that used to air. I used to watch it on Sunday mornings, and it was part of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Mr. Peabody is a dog. He is the smartest dog and human on the planet. He is voiced by Ty Burrell. One day, while walking home, he hears a baby crying in an alley, and he goes and rescues the baby, who's been abandoned, and eventually adopts the baby, thanks to a judge who says there's no reason why an intelligent dog can't adopt a boy. Sherman, voiced by Max Charles, is a precocious young kid, and he enjoys going on adventures with Mr. Peabody in the Wayback, which is a time machine. He's been through all kinds of periods in the past, met all kinds of famous people. On Sherman's first day at school, he has an unfortunate encounter with a little girl named Penny Peterson, voiced by Ariel Winter. She sees Mr. Peabody dropping off Sherman at school and calls Sherman a dog, which leads to a fight. In order to smooth things over with Penny's parents, and also to avoid having Sherman taken away by a representative of the state, Mrs. Grunion, voiced by Allison Janney, he invites the Petersons over so that they can have a nice meal and they can learn that there's no problem with a dog raising a boy. My feathers just fell off. I'm terribly sorry. where was I? Dog raising a boy. Penny is bored and rude during the course of the evening, so Sherman decides to show her the way back. And that's when the trouble begins. They end up going all through time and creating problems, and Mr. Peabody has to come and rescue them. It is an enjoyable flick. It's kind of heartwarming. It's funny in a way. There are ways it will be funny that children won't get, that adults will. It's not a hilarious film, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be mostly a look at family and how families need to work together to solve their problems and to be accepting of one another. It's a good story. It's a lot of jumping back and forth in time. Patrick Warburton plays Agamemnon inside the Trojan horse, and he's very funny in his bits. And all in all, it's a very enjoyable kids flick that I think adults will enjoy too. I'm giving it 5 guitars. Go to WIMZ.com to read my complete review, as well as to vote on the movie that I will see next time. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them to me at StanTheMovieMan@att.net, and you can follow me on Twitter @MovieManStan. Till next time, see ya.